We would like to share with you some very interesting news today. You are aware of our passion for finding out about the newest smartphone rumors and leaks. But be ready, because our jackpot discovery is the Sony Xperia 16. Once again, our go-to leaker at OnLeaks has given us an early look at Sony's future flagship. We can tell you it's a doozy. There are delicious details, a 360-degree video, and outstanding graphics. The elephant in the room is that the reason these pictures may not be in ideal shape is that the actual item hasn't been officially unveiled yet. But trust us, with what we have, there's plenty to pique those technical interests. What can we so expect from the Xperia 16? People, get ready for an amazing journey. Let us begin with the design. Sony has clearly been exercising since this infant is rather muscular. About in line with the Xperia 15 from last year is the 6.5-inch screen. But worry not, Sony is still committed to the beloved triple-back camera configuration and the traditional headphone jack. Those rude boys are still around and easy to see. This is when things start to interest me. Sony has decided to take a different tack and make the Xperia 16 a little bit thicker, wider, and shorter. Sizes of 161.5 by 74.5 by 8.4 millimeters are considered. Not a large change, but enough to maybe change the aspect ratio game. You see, there are reports that the Xperia 16 may be moving to a more common 19.5:9 aspect ratio, even though Sony has been dominating the 21:9 aspect ratio on its flagships for years. That would set it up against formidable weapons like the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Very clever move. But wait, wasn't that cinematic experience the whole point of Sony's 21:9 aspect ratio, you say? You would be very right too. The Xperia 1 was one of the select few phones with the ultra-wide aspect ratio when it first launched in 2019. The idea was to improve the immersive phone movie watching experience, since movies are originally shot in 21:9 and then resized to 16:9 for home viewing. While the majority of phones still had a more traditional aspect ratio, Sony took a calculated risk. Looking forward, however, and cell phones have brought about a lot of change. Taller, thinner screens with aspect ratios of 19.5:9 or even 20:9 are the norm these days. Sony's 21:9 aspect ratio is consequently less unique than it was a while back. That brings up even another fascinating speculation about the Xperia 16 display. Sony allegedly plans to go from a 4K resolution to a 2K display that is more battery-friendly. Listen to us now before you start to object. There was a catch to the 4K display on earlier Xperia flagships. The true 4K quality only showed up when you were viewing movies or photos. It reverted to a lower resolution for the balance of the period to save battery life. Sony chose well, even if it meant you weren't always seeing 4K at its finest. Speaking of battery life, let's look at why the 2K display on the Xperia 16 could be a wise choice. Known battery hogs, high-resolution displays are crucial in the world of smartphones where every single bit of power counts. Reverting to a 2K resolution would allow Sony to provide a happy medium between increased battery life and beautiful visuals. After all, the vast majority of other flagship phones available today have 2K displays and still provide a great viewing pleasure. In practical terms, how often do we really utilize the 4K capabilities of our devices? It's nice to have for those sporadic video editing or photo touch-ups, even if a crisp 2K panel is more than enough for our everyday pixel peeping needs. But what about future-proofing? You may wonder. With its cutting-edge technology, is Sony not meant to be pushing the boundaries? That you raise an important issue. Still, let's not forget that at Sony, practicality has always preceded gimmicks. They don't go looking for conspicuous qualities just for the sake of it either. Rather, they take a more cautious tack and focus on giving their target market a trustworthy, first-rate experience. We've gone over the design and display rumors in great depth, so let's talk about when we may expect to own this bad boy. Sony is regrettably hiding those launch details deep. Prices and an official release date are not yet available to us. But don't worry, my fellow geeks, we have some clues to provide, and the rumor mill is always spinning. Starting with looking at Sony's customary launch timeline. The Xperia 15, a precursor to the upcoming 16, was released in May of last year. Given how Sony typically has an annual upgrade cycle for its flagship series, it is sense to anticipate that the Xperia 16 would follow a similar timeline. Better yet is to come. Recent weeks have seen a profusion of leaks and even accessory listings for the Xperia 16. There's fire where there is smoke, as they say. Too many leaks in the IT industry usually signal an upcoming official release. Thus, if we had to guess, we would think Sony is preparing to formally introduce the Xperia 16 in the next month or two. They may disclose something unexpectedly at the next tech event or choose the virtual launch strategy. We'll be watching and listening in any case to any and all developments. Was it not a little information dump at the end? All the same, we have no doubt that you tech-savvy folks can handle. After all, you do live for juicy leak action like this. Just to quickly go over everything we have covered so far, OnLeaks has given us an exclusive, in-depth look at the next Sony Xperia 16 that includes breathtaking 360 degrees video and high-resolution graphics. The design modifications have been dissected, the potential aspect ratio change has been looked at, and the benefits and drawbacks of a 2K display have been covered. Let us now, however, take a step back and allow the excitement to really sink in. Power users and techies have traditionally preferred Sony's Xperia line. The unique mix of outstanding technology, amazing photography skills, and a certain level of complexity sets these telephones apart from the rest. With the Xperia 16, Sony seems to be expanding on what made its predecessor so great and adding some much-needed upgrades to keep up to speed. The Xperia line may be revitalized and its competitiveness in the cutthroat flagship market increased with new aspect ratios and more battery-friendly display resolutions. But what really thrills us about having a device is the thought of owning one that maintains Sony's core values of quality, innovation, and user experience. Give it the enticing look at what's in store, there are surely more surprises and deft maneuvers under the sleeve of the Xperia 16 that we haven't even heard about. Will the camera setup or software undergo any major upgrades? In what ways is that purported aspect ratio change expected to impact the user experience overall? Not to mention speed, quick internals, and excellent CPUs would be great ways for Sony to really showcase its capabilities. The possibilities during this pre-launch period are just too good to pass up. It's like being a youngster again, trying to figure out what's inside based only on shape and sound, shaking that big present beneath the tree. Whatever the number of leaks and speculations, the reality is that there's nothing quite like utilizing a new device firsthand. These are the features, the tactile feel, the bright display, the fast performance, that may really make or break a smartphone. That ends today. Since in the IT industry, the journey is half the fun. We'll be here, waiting breathlessly for the next delectable leak or official teaser.